Hello world out there. Greetings from Ecuador. Today, May 17, Wednesday, something very important happened in Ecuador. We passed from being on the process of impeachment on the president of Ecuador to the president dissolving the National Assembly or the Congress and having special powers. That in only 2 days. And this is all perfectly legal and it's in the Constitution. If you want to know, if you want to understand the situation, what's happening and what will happen, stay on this video because I will explain it as much in detail as possible. First of all, if you don't know me, I am Luis Velasquez. I am an Ecuadorian and I am a national tour guide, but I also run a tour operator. I have another channel for that, which is Build Dev Tours. In this channel, I will speak about political events, news, things that are happening in Ecuador and that may be of interest to you if you would like to know about Ecuador from a political perspective and current events, current things. My other YouTube channel will be for tourism, nature, culture. Also, I will speak about some things that happen that are related to culture. But anyways, in this channel, if you are not subscribed to this one here, please do so, as that way I will know that you are interested in this type of content. Okay, first, to explain what's happening today, I have to explain to you what's been happening in the last few months. The National Assembly, which is like our Congress, started a process of impeachment on the president. For starting this process of impeachment, they require a certain amount of votes. I don't recall the exact amount of votes at this moment, but they got the amount of votes for approving the process of impeachment. This process was approved last week. For removing the president, they needed 92 votes. For getting these 92 votes was feasible for them because many people are against the president. The president and his party are minority or were minority in the National Assembly. Let's remember that at this moment the National Assembly was dissolved, so it doesn't exist anymore. On Sunday, this past weekend, the National Assembly elected their new presidents or their new board. And the new president, well, actually, the president that was re-elected, Virgilio Saquicela, he won with more than 92 votes, and this guy is clearly against Lasso. So the people that voted for him to be re-elected, it is expected that they would vote to remove Lasso, that they vote in pro of the impeachment. Lasso appeared yesterday for defending himself on the process of impeachment, to speak with the assemblymen and also to be speaking to the people because this is a broadcasted address. And he told the assemblymen and the assemblywomen that all they have been doing is blocking his work, trying to remove him, and they are not wanting the best for the country. They are just wanting power and removing, and that's it. Okay, so assuming that the people that voted for the re-election of the president of the assembly would vote for the impeachment of Lasso, he would be removed. The voting would be for this Friday or for this weekend. But today, Lasso, in the morning of Wednesday, May 17, signed a decree that he had already announced a couple of weeks ago, that he had already prepared in case of emergency, more or less. This decree 471 is the decree of crossed death, or Muerte Cruzada in Spanish. Crossed death means that the president dissolved the Congress in any of these three scenarios. First scenario, that the assembly is taking powers that or functions that are not of theirs. That didn't happen. Second thing, that they are blocking the work of the president through not approving his decrees or approving things that block the president. That didn't happen either. And the third scenario, which is the one that Lasso alleged for cross death, is literally grave political crisis and social shock. Well, yesterday the president talked about this, and in the decree today he said, because of grave political crisis and social shock, I am announcing the cross death. Now, what is the cross death? He dissolves the Congress because of this third scenario, but he also has to leave. This is something written in the Constitution because in the past, the Congress, the Assembly, well, there was a Congress in the past, the Congress used to remove presidents, or they made life very difficult for the president, that there was not a way to rule the country, to govern. And they were threatening all the time presidents, like, we're doing this, we're going to take you out. And it happened, like with Abdallah Bucaram in the 90s. And for stopping that extortion from the Congress, in the last constitution, the current one we have now, they approved the cross death so that the president has a way to tell, okay, you're threatening me, but if you want to threaten me, I can also take you out because you're extorting me. And for the first time ever in Ecuador, a president is applying the cross death. So the assembly now has to leave, but the cross death doesn't mean that Lasso will keep governing alone. No, he also has to leave, not immediately. The assembly is dissolved. We don't have assemblymen and assemblywomen at this moment in Ecuador. We don't have a legislative power. We only have the executive, the judicial, the citizen control, and the electoral power. Well, the cross death in the Constitution, the next things to happen are the president rules by special decrees. He has special powers. However, he can only approve decrees that are related to economic measures. He cannot, for example, make amendments of criminal laws or this type of things. It's only economic laws that he can reform, like labor law, for finances, things that are only economic, and with the approval of the Supreme Court or the Constitutional Court. The Constitutional Court has to say, okay, this is okay, let's move forward. So it's not like the president will rule and he will do whatever he wants. It's not like that. Third thing, the electoral power now within the next 7 days has to give a date for new elections. They will call for new elections, and these new elections can't be held in more than 90 days. So that means that in the next 3 months, or before the end of August, we will have new elections in Ecuador, presidential and assembly elections. All the assemblymen and assemblywomen that were removed may run again, and President Lasso, he may run again too. So, however, this is where we make another analysis. Why Lasso did this of the cross death, and why the assembly decided to start a process of impeachment. First thing, Lasso is very unpopular in this moment. His popularity is less than 30% because of the economic crisis, the situation that we have now, but especially because of insecurity. Insecurity has been rising a lot, especially in some areas in the coast, and they feel like the president is doing nothing, but he hasn't helped himself because he has said things like, yes, situation is not that good, but we're not as bad as Colombia and Mexico in numbers, so it's like, okay, that you can simply tell that to people, because we, Ecuador, were the second safest country in South America, and then suddenly criminality after the pandemic has been increasing a lot. It is also not only because of the president, also because of the judicial power, the judiciary power. It's been very corrupted. They haven't been enforcing the law as they should have. So it's a mix of things that I will need to explain in another video, not in this one. But anyways, about the economic crisis, yeah, the president has not been good. I can't say, I can't really defend him on this one, not even security in anything, because he's been very inefficient. Lately, last week, 2 weeks ago, they announced a new person to be in charge of security in Ecuador. And this new person, Paco Moncayo, he is a former soldier. He fought in one of the last war against a country, which was against Peru in the 90s. He has a lot of experience. He was twice mayor of Quito, and he has experience in security. And there have been some new measures taken. So I'm optimistic about that. They will keep working because the state, the executive power, the ministers, they will keep working in the same way until we have a new president or until we have a new assembly. But for the moment, everything keeps working the same. That's the one thing that you may be wondering, okay, what's happening? How's the country? Situation so far is normal. We will talk in more detail in a moment about that. Okay, but his popularity is very low. I don't think he will run again, but he now has like 2 months to make a good job, and if he makes a good job, then he may run and he may win. We'll see. It depends on the councillors as well. Now, the assembly, there have been many negotiations between different parties, the former president Correa, the leaders of the Social Christian Party, which is powerful, the indigenous Pachacutec, and of course the current president. There have been so many things that I yesterday said in one of my stories. By the way, if you use Instagram and you would like to know like daily stuff, you could follow me on Build Dev Tours, where I will speak about things like this in 30 seconds, 1 minute. And I said yesterday that anything may happen, anything could happen. They started the impeachment process because they knew that Lasso was not popular. First thing. Now, what is the argument for that, for starting the impeachment? Well, it is embezzlement. Embezzlement because the President Lasso or his team made some negotiations in state companies, or that's what they were arguing, that affected the money of the people, the money of the nation. But this was not really clear. There were some people close to Lasso that were benefited, that got benefits from the situation. However, it is not really clear how Lasso was involved in all of this. But they say he was. I don't think there was evidence as per what I have read, as per what I have seen, but the impeachment was approved. But they did this also because they knew Lasso was unpopular. Most people don't like him, actually, in all of the country. Lasso already said a couple of weeks ago that he had the decree ready for the cross death. That is, if the assembly continued like extortioning him, he would approve this. Many people thought he wouldn't do it, that he was not brave enough, that it was just blah blah blah, but he finally did it. Yesterday, after the impeachment, the assemblymen and assemblywomen started giving their speeches saying why Lasso should be removed and all of this. And during these days, they would do this until Saturday or Sunday, when they would vote for the impeachment. But today, Lasso signed this decree. The assembly is dissolved. New elections have to be called within 7 days, or we have to get the date for the new elections within 7 days, which can't be beyond 90 days from now, from this week. And Lasso can't be in power for more than 6 months from this moment. He may run again, so if he wins, he would continue in power. The new elections won't be for 4 years. The presidential term here and the assembly term is for 4 years. They are elected at the same time. However, the presidential elections and the assembly elections that are held in less than 3 months, they won't be for a 4-year term. They will be for what is left on this 4-year term. At this moment, Lasso has been in power for 2 years, so it's 2 years left that he has, and the assembly as well. So the people that win now will be ruling for 2 years left until 2025. New elections have to be held by April 2025. What's the situation right now in the country? The situation is fine. I actually making this video late because I was working on a tour and everything went just fine. Everything on the streets is just fine. In Quito, some people were like near the assembly. Some groups like they want Lasso out as soon as possible. Some people say that it is illegal and they will go to the Supreme Court so that they revoke this decree because they say it isn't constitutional, because there is not grave political crisis and social shock as the president argues. So he can sign this decree and it has to be withdrawn. It can simply be effective. I don't know if this will happen. I don't really think so, because yes, we have been in a political crisis since like 1 month ago when all of this started. The president can't do anything and the assembly saying we're taking you out, then they approve the impeachment and they may have obtained the votes for impeach him. We'll never know because now there is no assembly anymore. The thing is that some people will try to revoke this, and there are several views. These people that say no, this is illegal, we have to revoke this. The people or politicians, let's say, that agree on what Lasso did, because you have to show the assembly at least for once or for first time that they cannot keep extortion present, or they cannot keep threatening like we're going to take you out, we're going to take you out, and do whatever they want, because they can also be thrown out, as it happened. The National Assembly, at this moment, the facilities, they are closed to the assemblymen and assemblywomen, because they are not assemblymen anymore, actually. They are just politicians. They don't have any power. And to take the things that they have in their former offices, they have to go through a special process. And there are other people who say that it is totally illegal, and beyond being revoked, the president has to be prosecuted because what he's doing, he's becoming a dictator, and this is not okay. In this line of thought, we have Leonidas Issa, leader of CONAIE. I have spoken about Leonidas Issa in other videos. He's one of the main leaders of indigenous movement. He's the president of the CONAIE. CONAIE is the Confederation of Indigenous Nationalities of Ecuador. And they had already said in the past that if Lasso wanted to become a dictator and rule with special powers by decrees, they would go on strike. Well, CONAIE spoke today to people in this afternoon, and they said that they won't go on a strike. They didn't announce protests. I mean, they didn't actually say we won't go on a strike, but like for the moment, there won't be a strike, there won't be protests. But they will be alert, they will be watching the situation very carefully, and they will call people's assemblies throughout the country to see what people think in the indigenous communities and take decisions based on that. But they will be very alert. But for the moment, we don't have a paro happening. That's good news, at least, because honestly, I thought that they would call for paro like tomorrow. But no, they just will keep alert. The former president Correa, who is very popular for many people here because of the things that happened during his term. I could speak about him in another video because it's true, it's too complex to speak about this man, because there were many good things but also many bad things under his ruling. But he's still a very important figure, and maybe if there were elections tomorrow, he may win them because he's very popular. But he can't run in the next elections because he's being prosecuted. He's actually wanted for the Ecuadorian justice. The process for which he is being wanted at the moment, there have been many flawed things that I can explain another video. It's too much for this one. Okay, but well, he says that this is illegal, that what Lasso is doing is illegal. But even his party said that because they said a couple of weeks ago that they would support the cross death. And today they ratified that the cross death is okay because they wanted Lasso out, because they are sure that they could win new elections. Maybe they will, we don't know. What I can tell you is that if Lasso makes a good job during the next 2 months, he may win elections again. I don't even know if he will run. I don't know what his intentions are. He's an old man. He has had some illnesses during the last couple of months. He had to appear to the assembly for other things, and he didn't, because in other meetings as well, for other situations, not only in the assembly. And he said that he was sick, that he couldn't appear because he was ill. Also, he had a recent surgery, so he had to have rest. He got surgery in the United States. Many things that say, okay, maybe this guy is tired because this job being president of a country, and especially a Latin American country with many peoples, and I mean races, because you have the indigenous in the Andes, the indigenous in the Amazon, the mestizos, so many issues in a small country. It's tiresome, and I don't really know if he actually made this in the end, like, get out of the assembly, but I also want to get out, but I'm not going home alone. So it's an option that he may have done this because he doesn't want to be a president anymore. But many people think that this was the right thing to do, to show the assembly that they can't simply be threatening all the time. And also the president can now make special orders for improving economy. That's what they say, and well, the constitution allows him to make these special decrees with economic measures. But the thing is that already many workers unions have said that if Lasso will sign decrees that go against the workers, they will go on strike or they will protest, and they can be very hard, same as the indigenous people, or they could join forces with the indigenous people to make strikes. Anything could happen at this moment. But the armed forces, they have also pronounced about the situation, and they have said that they will keep the constitutional order in the country. They will be on the streets, and if there are any protests that want to go against the constitution, like about all of this that is happening, which is in the constitution, they will protect the constitutional order. So I think that's pretty clear what it means. The public institutions, they keep working the same. The ministers, they keep working the same. Everything keeps working the same, except the assembly. That's the only thing that is not working. So no new laws from them, no new discussions for them, because now Lasso could approve whatever he wants, as long as the Supreme Court approves them. Well, when we have new election dates, I will let you know. Remember to subscribe to this channel for keeping up with the situation. We'll see who the candidates are. Now there are parties that say we already have our candidates. We were expecting this because the president had been threatening with a cross-death since a couple of weeks ago. Other parties are like now looking for alliances. Who will their candidate be? So anything could happen. Lasso could run again. Lasso may win. There are so many scenarios here, and even one scenario is that the indigenous people and union workers go on strike, depending on what Lasso signs. But for the moment, Lasso is the president. The constitutional order is okay. The armed forces are supporting not Lasso but the constitutional order. Streets are in peace, and we have to wait to see what the new decrees will be, what the situation will be, if the Supreme Court doesn't take the decree back, which I don't really think so, because there was political crisis. And well, that would be it for now. If you have any comments, any questions, please feel free. I think we have said enough here, and we don't really need to say too much now. Let me know, please. I would really appreciate that. If you like this type of videos with no edition, just straight information and letting you know things, or if you like more edition, like that I quote more sources and more data, like I used to doing my videos on build dev tours, because those videos take longer. I could make them, but they would take longer, and I've been so busy that I haven't even launched the many videos I have recorded during the last like 5 months. So let me know. Thank you very much for watching here, and remember to thumb up, subscribe, and recommend this channel to people that you know are interested in living in Ecuador, or that live in Ecuador and would like to have explanations of the situations happening here. That would include security policies, economic measures, migration issues, many things that are happening in Ecuador that may affect the life of people living here or wanting to live here. So thank you very much, and see you in the next occasion. Bye bye.